Hello, and welcome, gentlemen and gentlewomen of the jury. Today, I'll be showing myself playing the hit game Fish Out 4 and seeing if nuclear obliteration of everything and everyone in the wasteland is a good idea. Will I beat the game, or will I succumb to my sudden urge to unalive everybody I meet, losing all urge to beat the game over returning the Boston area to its natural glory? So let's load up some nukes, help some settlements, and commit acts not of the law. And let's start beating Fallout 4 with a fat man. We started this journey off with a prosperous young lad named Chongus McCongus, home from an undisclosed foreign conflict involving, here. Accompanying him was his lovely wife Dolores, oh my god, and Giles. The day was a nice and sunny day. Nothing could go wrong, I thought. I spent time by being a good father, being an American.
Will it be like that a year ago?
And trying to escape a Master Lock Pro Series 57mm. Everything was good until
nuclear detonations in New York and
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. Now, in any emergency situation, we must follow protocol. So I walked calmly, single file, to the nearest bomb shelter. On the way, I met up with the local neighbors. I'll remind them. I didn't remind them. Got to the border, and with some weirdly lax entry conditions, we were in.
I love you too.
Nice.
Oh my god!
What? And now, blah blah blah. Finally, freedom. Now starts my new life, with no wife, no home, and no child support. So I mean, it's not all bad. I started my freedom off by, firstly, setting the difficulty to hardest, because normal mode was far too easy for me. I wanted a challenge. This turned out to be a terrible decision. We started with a vault full of rad roaches and no nuclear weapons. Not a very fitting start. But with my highly evolved monkey brain, I came up with a plan. I would just walk past them and close the door. Now starts my new life in a world of new Anyway, now before nuclear annihilation can occur, comes first nuclear cessation. Helping me today was one very pixelated map with all the locations of every single mini-nuke spawn in the entire game. And as you can see, it's very, very well made. Our first fat man was located right over here, at the robotic disposal ground. So I left for the robotic disposal ground. Wait a minute. Not even 5 minutes into this journey, and with my level 6 intelligence, I had made one slight error in judgment. You see, contrary to the in-game map, I'd thought the map was like this. So instead of walking towards the robotic disposal ground, I had just spent 30 minutes and many deaths walking directly away from it. On the right direction, I decided to visit my destroyed house. And who did I find cleaning it but my old pal, Codsworth. Codsworth was very sad. He had been cleaning my house for 200 years without any pay. So as a way to cheer himself up, we decided to look for my dead wife and stolen child around Sanctuary, in some sliver of hope that they were just pranking me for 200 years. They were not. But Codsworth had a very intense brawl with one singular bloatfly. Tense fight we've got here. After our little ride or die moment, I left Codsworth to continue cleaning Sanctuary, while I would further pursue my journey in the wasteland. Finally, I had made it to the robotic disposal ground, with one slight issue. There were many mole rats, and I'm trapped inside this small room. Yeah. Gotta wait it out here. What the hell? Now, with all the mole rats being pulverized, we'd finally found our first fat man. There it is! This was very, very good. Now, a little down the road was the USAF satellite station, which did in fact have another mini-nuke. After a bit of probing, I came to the realization that this base was very, very well fortified. Stay inside. Well, shit. I had just used my first very limited mini-nuke supply to kill a singular hero Ratatito. This run was already not looking very good. Wandering a little further, I met this guy. He didn't really come with a name, so we'll call him Fernando. Fernando had eaten some very bad meat, and as a true gentleman, he gave me some of the disease-ridden meat and waited until I left to repaint the floor. What a nice fellow. Truly, a glimpse into the friendly faces I would meet in the Commonwealth. After a while, I reached a new house. Not one marked on any map. This house was different. It was special. It had missiles. What the fuck? After nearly dying in an industrial missile accident, I decided that now was the time to do some questing. I started with the Minuteman questline at the Museum of Freedom. Unfortunately, several big angry raiders told me to please vacate the premises. So, I did, but not before stealing their juicy fusion core. After being kicked out, I followed the road until I came across the Cambridge police station. Out of pure boredom, I just sat there and watched the entire Brotherhood ghoul fight. After the fight, wanting to advance the Brotherhood of Steel storyline, I decided to help Paladin Dance find a deep-range transmitter at ArcGeek Laboratory. So, we set off for ArcGeek, and died again, and again, and again, and again. Now, why was I so eager to join the Brotherhood? The Brotherhood of Steel, while a little bit mean to people who aren't in the club, have access to this thing. One, Liberty Prime, which is a massive robot that throws nukes meant to be used out of bombers, like they're tennis balls. And he also shouts some of the best dialogue I've ever heard in a video game.
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
So, after spectating Paladin Dance single-handedly overthrow the entire ArcGeek facility, we found the transmitter on this dead guy, and then we left. As a reward for my hard effort, Dance gave me this, his favourite gun. Sensing some trust between us, this got me in a good mood, so I left to immediately pawn it off in Diamond City. After a long walk, I reached Diamond City. At this point, I'd been running around the wastelands for many hours now, and I was starting to get a little bit tired.
We're gonna go west. What the hell am I?
So, in my very sleep-deprived state, I thought it was a good idea to steal Kellogg's key. Except, I didn't.
Oh my fuck! Oh, I fucked up.
After having a small cry, I did ArcGeek, met a guy named Mac, tried to get some customers, tried to trespass into Vault 81,
Hold it right there.
and went back to Diamond City. This time, I, in fact, didn't steal the key, and instead just sold my gear. Wow! And gazed upon my next challenge. Ooh. The big boy was a fat man that fires 2 nukes instead of 1, halving the amount of nukes I require, and making more. Ooh. Now, how does it manage to split 2 nukes when there's only 1 sitting there? I don't know, but I want it. So, the first thing I would need to do was find some money. I started off by making Kyle useful even after his fatal headshot.
Takahashi, chop chop. 10 minutes stew.
I removed the homeless off the street, I did an interview, and I even offered to cold-bloodedly murder a radio presenter, just for being bad. Unfortunately, I was being pranked. You see, there was no death, but there was money to be made. You see, young Travis was bad. So, we needed to man him up. And instead of taking him to a gym, eating a good diet, and meeting woman, we just decided to get him into a bar fight. At exactly 8 o'clock, 2 big angry men decided to walk in, and decided to talk some smack. Travis did not like this, and with a bit of persuasion, he finally got the courage to fight. He's just getting this chick. Oh fuck. After a long brawl, and a bit of further persuasion, Travis had won. But this was not the end of the plan. No. Now, Travis needed to get a date. As a hardcore gamer, I knew the best way to get a female's attention was under the threat of nuclear annihilation. This, surprisingly, did not work. So I just told her to date him and it worked.
I'll go see him now.
Returning to the bar, Vadim had accidentally got himself captured. Something about debt evasion. Under normal circumstances, understandable. But Vadim is not an American. So, we gotta go save him. I called up Travis, loaded up some nukes, and went down to the Beantown Brewery. At the brewery, I gave Travis a small pep talk,
Won't make it out of there.
and then we stormed the brewery. Well, Travis did. I was just kinda letting him earn his manhood. After a long fight, I went to Vadim, he gave me money, and Travis finally became a man. God, I'm good at my job. After the tussle, I then decided to get a few more mini nukes in the surrounding area, so that I could actually start doing some nuclear annihilation. I found 3 nukes. 1 here, 1 there, and 1 over here. Oh fuck, fuck! And then I returned to Diamond City to sell some gear, complete some missions, and visit the upstanding establishments of the stands. At the tap house were 2 guys, named Cook and Paul. Cook and Paul were in a bit of a kerfluffle. Their argument eventually led to an all-out fistfight where Paul got absolutely stat-checked and left. After having a few too many alcoholic beverages, I also left to find a very beaten up Paul who offered me quite the deal. Paul offered me all he had, 50 caps, for me to help him threaten Cook. And since I had nothing better to do, I accepted. Now Cook, much like everyone else in Diamond City, apparently didn't care too much for nuclear vaporization, and saw right through our little plan. This sent Paul into a blinding rage, who then attacked Cook, and once again, Paul got absolutely dished out. And died. Cook, out of shame for making me lose a whole 50 caps, offered me a better deal. Jump a inhaler exchange, and keep the inhalers.
We take the money.
Wanting to keep the streets clean, I accepted. So me and Cook met outside Diamond City and hatched a plan. I go behind the enemy and shoot. Very complicated, I know. Aim and fire. I had obliterated everybody in this deal. The only survivor was a mortally wounded Trish, who offered to tell me where the chem lab was for her life. Now this was not a bad deal.
Sorry, Trish. So that's that.
Cook eventually left Boston to tend a bar upstate, but I was left with an inheritance of many inhalers, medical equipment, and mints, which I immediately sold to every trader in Diamond City without raising any suspicion. Now, while this gave me some money, I was still very poor, so I left Diamond City in search of more money. Now, to get a lot of money, we would first need a lot of money. Colting, terrible benefits. Hello sir, would you be interested in... Oh, this insurance company is liable for providing false information under the Companies Act of 1993. What's up, my friend? You want a job? Giveth the money. Hire small army. Small army dies, so I don't have to pay them. Don't come near me. Don't come near me. Don't come near me. Fuck! These are some good products. But I think I'll take this one. This super mutant just removed an entire cult with nothing more than a piece of 2x4. What? Mid stash. Stranded with stash. Be careful, stash. I have a complaint. Where is this customer support? Oh no. Collection cards. Nice. Wait. Is that a respawning nuke supply I see? Wow, this house sure has left a lot of supplies for me. And finally, I was back at Diamond City. After so long, surely I had made enough money to finally purchase the big boy. Nope. I was just over halfway. I left Diamond City again, this time for the Cambridge police station, where I returned this thingy-mabob and got a brand new mission. Yay. The Lost Patrol was a patrol who got lost. So, I was sent off to go find the first transponder. On the way to the first transponder, I met Arch and Arch, who were both confused on which Arch was the Arch who was the real Arch. Yeah. So I helped them figure it out. Aha! This is the real Arch. Eventually, I made my way to the bustling metropolis of Country Crossing. The villagers there demanded one simple task: kill the ghouls inside the National Guard Training Center. No. Following the beep boops, I found a half-destroyed house full of unusable power armor and a holotape. Oh no! This holotape told me to go to the National Guard training yard. That was not a good idea. Now, do you remember when I talked to the Country Crossing villagers? Well, when I talked to them, I had unknowingly turned their quest on. So thinking it was a lost patrol, I spent the next hour slowly taking this door right here. Until, in a mild confused rage, I decided to look online to see where the next location was. After getting the holotape, it then led me over to the satellite array, which was filled with a bunch of very angry green men. Hidden at the top of one of these satellites was the next holotape, guarded by many boss men. This was not going to be easy. While scouting the base from a nearby marina, I met a lifelong friend named Timothy. Oh, Timothy's friendly. Oh. Timothy had died, but his sacrifice had removed some of the enemies. So, thanks Timothy. A little while later, a random trader had arrived, and after making a bit of money, tried the trade with the big green men. And it didn't work too well. After a few sneaky breaky attempts, eventually I did manage to get inside the room. Body? Body? So, where was the body? With a bit of research, I found that the scribe's body can sometimes clip through the house and land on the ground beneath it. The final tape then told me to go to a bunker just a few square miles north. So I walked, and walked, and walked, and I was there. After a few beepity beep boop boops, I met Paladin Brandis, told him about his dead team, and as thanks, he offered me everything he'd ever found ever. So, it's not all bad. Now, after that series of events, I decided to have a small holiday around the Commonwealth. Can I just test the arena real quick? No. Wow, what a nice bridge. Oh! Ah! Oh! Holy fuck! Ah! Oh my god! Here's some holotapes. Please pay me. Shit. Very safe. What's this now? Someone's laid on their dead? Ooh.
Put them to good use.
I won't.
Hell yeah. Just don't let Tina know.
Okay then. While getting the fatter man was a good start, I also needed a healthy supply of nuclear warheads if I ever wanted to start nuclear annihilation on a grander scale. Now, while abusing the Bethesda engine was one way to get free mini nukes, there was another way. Ronnie Shaw. You see, if you can complete the minimum side of questing, you unlock a mission where you go underneath a castle, unlock the locked armory, and build mortars. This gives you access to mortars, as well as the trader, Ronnie Shaw, who can sell mini nukes semi-reliably. But first, we would actually have to start the Minuteman questline. So off I went to the Museum of Freedom, and just waited. Just waiting for Preston to shoot somebody. Anybody at all. Well, dagnabbit. It seems Preston is incapable of doing any form of physical damage from his hidden cubbyhole. So, like normal, it was up to me. Ah! After an intense fight, I finally met Preston. After a small chat, the boys and two girls wanted me to get a fusion core from underneath the building. Wait a minute.
Take those fusion cores from you.
Oh, fuck!
Oh, no. Ah.
Bingo.
Now that we've completed Freedom Calls, we would now actually need to protect some of the village people. So, Preston, what's...
I've had word from a settlement asking for help.
Firstly, we were headed to 10 Pines Bluff. The local village had requested a hit on a young businessman named Jared, in charge as the new CEO of the bustling Corvega assembly plant. I accepted this, as nothing is more American than brutally removing your competition by nuclear devastation. After staging a hostile takeover of the local protection racket, I think it's time. I toodalooed the assembly plant and went straight to my old pal Arturo, and finally brought the biggest boy. Woo! The big boy. After all this pain, grinding, and suffering, I had finally earneth this stupidly overpowered gum. The very first thing I did was test it on these two bastards right here, who had been nothing but rude to me every single time I walked past them. Very good. Now satisfied, I decided to do some more story missions. The next and only other story mission left was Unlikely Valentine, where you'd have to go inside a vault, open a door, open another door, and save Nick. Now, logically speaking, when you buy a stupidly OP weapon, you'd probably want to use it, right? But for some reason, I thought it was my god-given right to try and complete this mission without wasting any of my precious nukes. But every goddamn time I would either get in, get one shot by the guards, or make it past them, all the way up to Nick, where I would just hide until the AI would slowly walk directly towards my location. I did that for 8 hours straight. Me angy. Dino? More like Dino saw.
Hold it.
Hey Nick, what's up? Now, while I did pass the hardest part of the mission, I had almost run out of nukes, so I decided to let Nick pull his own weight with his flimsy little revolver. I spent the next 2 hours roleplaying as a meteorological satellite, as Nick thoroughly clears the vault. We eventually met the big man himself, Skinny Malone, and with rage in my eyes, I politely waited for the conversation to end, and then promptly obliterated everybody in the room. Nick thanked me for saving him, and wrote a report on Darla's mysterious disappearance from Vault 114, and I was off, and with a taste for irradiated blood. The first thing I did was find a nearby raider boss and turn his very existence into radioactive waste. After that, I found some nukes, a very clean bridge, and an airship. Coming to me in a panic was the Lookout, who requested my help. Somehow, some why, some maybe, they had gotten their ship stuck in a building. Which, how do you even do that? Once upon the main deck, Captain Ironsides asked me to reclaim some lost parts stolen by a bunch of scabbies. Talking to the local scav camp, they offered me a deal. Betray Ironsides, and I'd use the scrap money to help orphans. No, these aren't Americans. That sounds like something a goddamn commie would say! Here's the chip, Ironsides. After helping the war effort, I decided to continue protecting the local settlements, so I was sent to help re-kidnap a settler. I loaded up, prepared myself for war, and walked straight to the plaza, ready to, have fun, I guess. After winning the ownership of another settlement, I went back to Preston and told him the good news. And for once, Preston also gave me some good news. We had finally unlocked the castle. Yes! On the way to the castle, I decided to test the limit of my big boy by becoming the embodiment of an M29 Davy Crockett nuclear weapon delivery system. A little further down the road, and I saw a familiar house. Fernando! Where are you, Fernando? Fernando? No! 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 It had appeared that Fernando had died. Maybe E. coli finally caught up with him, or maybe a stray dog. The first settler I had met, and the nicest man in the Commonwealth, was now dead. I was sad. I was angry. The Commonwealth took my favourite settler like he was a drum of gasoline in Iraq. Further down the road, I saw some captive settlers, and this sent me into a blinding rage, where I fired a nuke at the civilians, and in doing so, accidentally obliterating everyone else there. A little while later, I finally reached Preston. The plan was set to retake the castle.
Men aren't afraid of a real fight. Our primary objective is to clear the court.
Our manpower was limited. A whole 4 Minutemen versus an entire military base full of supercharged radioactive crabs. This was not looking good. After a bit of cleaning up, a few rumbles approached, which could only mean one thing. Now arrives one of the biggest and most ferocious bosses in all of Fallout 4. One of the toughest bosses to Well, that was easy. After a bit of search and destroy, repairing, and general maintenance, the castle was finally under the control of the Minutemen. Now that we controlled the castle, it would be a small wait until Ron would arrive.
I'm still waiting.
So, I spent some time clearing out the Commonwealth, dying, meeting new friends, seeing them die, farming supplies, getting nukes, finding some OP gear, dying again, upgrading the base, and dying some more. After that, I met a kid named Billy, who was locked in a fridge. Nice. Alright, see you around, Billy. Unfortunately, Billy was very persistent, and after watching him get his ass kicked by Mr. Krabs and Co., I begrudgingly decided to help him. On the walk back to his home, a weird, disheveled, neck-bearded man tried to buy Billy off me, which was tempting, but my money-grubbing days were long since past. After reaching Billy's house, I returned the very naughty boy and got caught taking some necessary medical supplies, and then I left the family in the care of their very protective neighbours. After that, I upgraded the walls on the base to be more wall, and brought a Brahmin.
Oh, great.
Gentlemen. Oh, hello. Ronnie had finally taken the time out of her busy schedule to meet me. Finally, it was questing time. Now, normally, this quest is very easy, but I had recently leveled Sneak to level 3, where mines don't activate underneath me. But they do for Ronnie, who follows me. So many goddamn times I died because Ronnie would just walk over a mine, it would immediately activate and explode me in the process. After 20 minutes of a French level bomb disposal and a vaporized sentry bot, we arrived at the body of a very Irish man, and an armory full of loot. But we weren't done just yet. Ronnie had another surprise for me. We walked outside and built a mortar that shoots mortar rounds. Nice. Then, she let me use it. And as we watched as the artillery blew up a few local cars, each shot reminding me of every nuke I fired, every person I killed, all my friends that died because I couldn't save them, my wife, my settlers, my pet Brahmin. After all the Commonwealth took from me, I think it's time I took something back.